I remember being on Instagram looking at credit card groups, and I'm like, this is like a secret society. I identified that majority of people didn't even understand how to get a credit card. Majority of people don't understand the power of a credit card and what they can do. And at that point, I realized you're learning things, and as you continue to learn, there's so many people who won't.
Marcus Barney isn't just teaching financial literacy. He's redefining what it means to own your financial future. From boardrooms to barbershops, Marcus has built a reputation as Him 500, a mentor, strategist, and wealth architect for the underdog.
The miseducation is often much easier to get than the correct information. Don't feel bad about working a 9 to 5. The work ethic that gets developed is more important than the education. Why? Because that'll help me be the best boss and business partner.
With millions of views across social media, a loyal following of aspiring entrepreneurs, and a curriculum that's helped thousands escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle, Marcus is on a mission to close the wealth gap by giving people the tools they were never taught. If you've ever been told you'll never make it out, he's living proof that you can.
The best entrepreneurs have the best relationships. They figure out how to manage relationships on the good side and the bad side, how to be in a relationship and give everybody wins. We only control ourselves. I don't have control over what you say to me, but I have a control over how I perceive it and how I respond to it.
Marcus, I'm excited you're here. You have an incredible origin story. So you went from selling bootleg sneakers to cleaning gutters. You became a multi-millionaire now, owned private jets, ambulance companies. You teach thousands how to turn credit into cash. You've made tons of people millionaires. Think about a moment in your life when you realized that financial strategies that you were learning for creating wealth were not just for yourself, but would benefit your entire community.
When I realized it?
Yeah, like when you were like, listen, I'm learning things that are not the norm. People don't know this shit, and they have to know this shit, and this is like a life hack, secret unlock.
Honestly, it was, I remember being on Instagram looking at credit card groups, and they had all these like code words and things like that. And I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about, right? It's like MC, this date, this form. And I'm like, and I realized it was like MasterCard was MC and VGC was vanilla gift card. And I'm like, this is like a secret society, right? And I started to, and it was a thing called manufacturer spending. And it was just learning how to manufacture spends on your credit card, right?
This is like the whole points thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember going down the rabbit hole, but I went down it with a friend and he couldn't understand what they were talking about. So I started strategically going and creating groups of people that was in the community that was on the comment thread talking about it. I would go and create a group chat with them. Like, since you guys all seem to understand it, I would be DMing them one-on-one, and then I create a group chat. And so then I would decode what they were saying exactly, because now they're talking high level amongst each other. And it wasn't nothing that I wasn't exposed to. It was just the terminology and the codes that they were using. And at that point, I realized, okay, how do I communicate this back to my community?
Yeah.
Because this was something amazing to me. And I'm like, manufacturer spending all these different things with gift cards and so many shopping techniques. And I identified that majority of people didn't even understand how to get a credit card. It was way above. And I'm going, you know what? The things that I'm learning now is benefits from hard work and things that I took for granted. And I took for granted the fact of me actually understanding how to develop my credit, getting my credit together, and actually realizing how many credit cards is out there and that there's different ones. Majority of people don't understand the power of a credit card and what they can do, nor how it can benefit them. And at that point, I realized, you know what, like, you're learning things. And as you continue to learn, there's so many people who won't.
They're not on that same journey because they didn't. So going back into your origin story, you only figured this out because your businesses kept failing. Because you couldn't figure out credit, how to fund the businesses. So you went through a lot of, like, candidly, really stressful, like, life events that a lot of people don't want to expose themselves to. Like, not a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs because of what you went through. That's the reason why. And then it's like light at the end of the tunnel. It's like there's other ways to do this, so it's not so stressful. So there's a better chance of it working out. But also, like with credit and credit cards, the first exposure people have credit cards are like, you know, they have some For me, at least, it was when I went to university, and there was like this little like stand on campus, and they're giving these shit credit cards. It was kind of super predatory because you didn't know what it was, and then you fuck yourself over with high interest rates, and your parents give you shit for getting a credit card, and then you're like scared of like, oh, like I don't know how to play this game.
Credit drops.
Yeah.
You're not understanding credit utilization.
No,
right?
Manufactured spending, nobody knows.
Yeah, so you don't understand none of those things. You don't understand the benefits of even the credit, or understand if I went into like due dates, statement dates, your payment date, your due date, your statement date. When I start breaking those things down, and people are like, "Wait, what?" Say, "Yo, okay, well, I got 3 credit cards, and this one is due this date." And I tell people, "Hey, you can change that and put it on the same date." It's like, "Oh, you can?" It's like you operate in this capacity of credit. America is built off of credit. Yet we don't understand how to navigate it. There isn't a curriculum. There isn't a place that teaches us how to properly navigate it to our benefit. Yeah. Nobody tells you, well, you can change your due date. Put them all on the same date so that way you're not confused. Or separate 50%, put 50% on the 15th and another 50% on the 1st. That way, depending on where you're at in the month, you know which credit cards to use based on the date it reports.
You know when to pay them off. And it's so confusing because you have Dave Ramsey saying don't buy shit on credit, and now you have predatory credit cards, and then America's built on credit. I actually just learned this recently, that credit is actually like a relatively new concept that was like based in the US, where in Europe for a long time there wasn't as much credit as there is in the US. Like the thought of buying shit with not your own money in history is actually, I think, very new, if I'm not mistaken.
100%.
And nobody knows how to play that game like really, really well. And there's so much conflicting advice. I think that's what really screws people.
And you got to understand that it comes from a capitalistic place, right? In reality, I believe in credit because it's available to us. So we should know how to utilize tools when you don't have any. But if you look at it on the flip side, is that the way the credit is even pushed out and pushed into the community, and for you to be able to finance things, it's not for the benefit of the consumer, it's for the benefit of the bank.
100%.
And so when you start to realize and identify that, you start, for me, I was going, okay, well, how do I make this beneficial for me? I understand you guys set us up on a spin wheel for your benefit. I'll allow you to finance this or pay. Imagine on a mortgage, I'll allow you to pay 30 years. First 8 years interest only. Year 15, you fall on hard times. We got our interest, and now we foreclose on you in year 15, year 12. But we've already collected the interest. Now at this point, once it starts going to principal, if you ever fall on hard times, you lose the house.
Yeah, people don't realize any of this. There's so many levels to this.
Even with auto loans, you got bad credit. Like, okay, think about it. The car is $80,000. If you have great credit with interest, you'll pay $93,000, $95,000. Bad credit, you'll pay $140,000, $160,000. Okay. In that buffer for the same car, you came in, ideally, you don't want to help people with good credit. It makes more sense to service people and have people with bad credit. I'd rather you be confused if I'm going to make double the money.
You take advantage of people.
So it's just that's the importance of it, is understanding that this system is not created to help you grow if you're not educated on how to properly use it and navigate it. That's why they say, well, why don't they teach credit in schools? Well, why would they? They don't teach business and how to be your entrepreneur and how to not believe in the school system in school either. It's a circle that we kind of go into where we have to realize that there's pros and cons. The cons are naturally sitting and presented to us more. The miseducation is often much easier to get than the correct information. And that's one of the key things that I like about where I'm at, is that I teach people how to use credit the right way to their own benefit. Don't get suckered into doing it and thinking, oh, this is how I was taught to do it, and it's wrong.
So tee it up for people, because we talk a lot about investment on this show, and like, should you raise money from investors and angels and VCs, or should you just bootstrap? I've never really had a conversation on the show about like strategic credit for business. So just frame it for people. Where in their business should they use credit versus bootstrap and fund it with customer cash versus VC versus angel investing? Like, I don't think it's a I was gonna say, sorry.
No.
I don't think it's a bad, I think it's a great idea, but it's not something that if I watch 100 videos on entrepreneurship, I don't think any of them are going to talk to me about how to use strategic like credit or is it debt, I guess, for a business compared to all the other types of ways to fund it.
So when you bootstrap, ideally, honestly, most entrepreneurs will they'll start bootstrapping.
Yeah.
Right. And so when they bootstrap at the beginning, what happens is that I believe that's the proven method, because it's a lot of things that you have to prove to yourself. It's a lot of things you have to prove to your customers, develop and prove your brand. After you bootstrap, and let's just say you get to a point to where you're doing 6 figures, right? You're doing multiple 6 figures, and you figured out the kinks, right? You went through it. You're going through it now, and it's going, okay, I have a proven model. I've worked out my customer support. I understand the lifetime value of my customers. I understand customer acquisition, how to get customers. Now I understand my business. I'm actually a business owner at this point. I'm no longer risky and gambling, and I don't know what's going to happen. I kind of have numbers on the board that I can actually check, have data to be able to look at. At that point, most people go, I'm ready to scale. That's the point when you're ready to scale. You'll get entrepreneurs that start and be like, I just want to scale, but you don't know your numbers. You don't understand psychologically, if you don't have a control over your business, and you don't understand and can't look inside the hood, you're not running a business, you're running a hustle. Yeah. And you're just running and you really don't know what's going on.
You take debt, that's going to
crushes it.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody who understands it, now when you deploy somebody else's money into it, you know what atmosphere and what environment you're putting that money into. So you imagine as an entrepreneur and business owner, you figure out, okay, I'm actually profitable now. This is how I make money. These campaigns work for me. These marketing styles work for me. Or this yellow pages work for me. This billboard works for me. Okay, now how can I use somebody's capital and be able to put it out? And most entrepreneurs go, I want to scale. And if I say, hey, I'll give you $50,000 for 15% of your business, they go 15, maybe 10 or 12, and they're willing to do a deal. Yeah. But they don't know of banks like Marcus through Goldman Sachs and Apple, right? Like you can get an Apple credit card. Same thing with the Goldman Sachs, is that you can go and apply for a pre-approval. You go apply for a pre-approval and it'll tell you if you're pre-approved and what you're pre-approved for. You now know what you can get access to. You don't even have to get a hard inquiry or apply or do the full application. You just check the pre-approval. And now you say, okay, well, here's $25,000, here's $20,000, I have $45,000 sitting there if I need it.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Now I put that into my business, right?
But you already have the business figured out. That's the difference.
And it's growing and it's working. But you realize, hey, if I had an extra $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to put into products, or to be able to expedite and grow my marketing and advertising, or to hire more staff to get things out faster, whatever it may be, depending on the industry, you realize you get to a point where you can operate and you understand it. And now I can actually deploy somebody else's money to put gas on something that works.
Yeah, I think that's smart too. But plus, you also get to hold on to 100% of your business. You're not diluting yourself. You're not giving up equity with credit. I know that sort of your interest in credit came from failed businesses, shit that wasn't going so well. Did you get any? Because I'm thinking back to when I was in school, and I got zero financial education about credit, about entrepreneur. To your point, nothing. Did you have any education growing up at all? Is there? Why is our education system so messed up, and we just don't give kids the tools that they need?
Because I honestly think that it's a different. I don't think this is for kids, right? Because it often comes up they should put it and teach it in schools, and it's no, there's other things that are more important, right? About the human development, about self-development, and actually allowing people to develop versus putting them right into the rat race of finances and dealing with money. Because what we realize, and we can even look at adults, once they figure something out or they get miseducated or a misunderstanding, they can stay and live with that miseducation and misunderstanding for 10 years.
I know.
And if you're not properly educated on how to be cognitive of how to think, how to process, how to analyze, how to use your discernment. Teaching people about how to go get access to capital is dangerous for a 16-year-old who looks online and wants a Hellcat, who wants to be able to spend money on streaming. And he's figuring out ways, now when it comes to credit, right? But now when it comes to budgeting, things like that, it's super important. Those are things that need to be taught in school. It's like, how do you actually manage the relationship with money? How do you manage the relationship with money, and on a spectrum of not going and getting money from other people, but just how to deal with it, how to deal with your bank accounts, how to actually look and check. Nowadays we got apps and things like that out there now that tell us all of our how we're spending, where we're spending at, things like that. But it's like, okay, well, now how do we read these things? How do we actually govern it to make ourselves better?
Yeah, I mean, like we can like kind of outsource our thinking to apps. We still don't do a good job of managing money. And even I know there's apps that like show you like, hey, you're spending this much on your monthly subscriptions. And I think those are smart, but I think that early childhood education about finance, that's important just to figure out how to like where you're spending, what a balance is, like how much, your personal cash flow. Yeah. Kind of, that's really the way that I think about it. And that doesn't exist in schools. But then like when you're older, like credit is important. I mean, there's
I think it should be mandatory for kids going into college.
I agree with that, as opposed to just having like a little booth at the credit card on the campus.
No, it needs to be, it's something that should be a prerequisite in college, not as much high school. So when I think about kids, I think about high school. I think high school needs to have a very strict, strategic, across the board course and trainings on relationship with finances, right? To understand it. But I think by the time people get to college, now it needs to go into actually understanding finances, how it works, the understanding credit, what it is, because at this point now it's available to you. So coming in freshman year, it should be automatically, hey, you got to take prerequisites on credit, because what happens is that now all the credit card offers start. And now it's like, okay, I'm just taking things and I don't know any better.
Today's episode is brought to you by Vanta. Now, listen up. This matters for your business. In today's digital landscape, security isn't optional, it's essential. Without it, deals stall, sales cycles stretch on, and scaling becomes very difficult. Now, why? Because investors, customers, and partners all expect businesses to demonstrate strong security practices before they commit. If you can't prove trust, you lose opportunities. So whether you're a startup founder trying to land that first big client, or an established company scaling your security program, Vanta helps businesses of all sizes prove that they're trustworthy by automating compliance across 35 frameworks like SOC 2, ISO 27001, and HIPAA, the exact certifications your prospects are demanding. Here's why you need to pay attention. Vanta gives you back precious time that you're currently wasting on compliance. Their platform automates up to 90% of the tedious compliance work. It helps you respond to those endless security questionnaires up to 5 times faster, and it connects you with experts to get your security program running immediately. The results speak for themselves. A recent IDC report found that Vanta customers achieve over $535,000 per year in benefits, and the platform pays for itself in just 3 months. So you're going to join over 10,000 global companies like Atlassian, Cora, and Factory who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. And don't miss this. For a limited time only, my listeners can get $1,000 off Vanta. That's real money back in your pocket. Visit vanta.com/Scott right now before this offer expires. That is VANTA.com/Scott.
Prolon is a success story partner. Now, long weeks and busy weekends can leave everybody feeling depressed and tired. We work nonstop. And that's why I love Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet. I absolutely love this company. Let me explain how it works. Basically, they have a fasting mimicking diet that rejuvenates you from the inside out. They deliver plant-based soups, snacks, and drinks to keep your body in a fasting state while giving you the nutrition you need. And when your body's in a fasting state, this triggers cellular renewal, and it actually works. This is why I've loved intermittent fasting for so many years. This is the magic of Prolon. And the exciting news is they just launched their next gen 5-day program. It has all the benefits they had before, but now they have 100% organic ingredients in all their foods, better taste, and ready to eat meals that make the whole process easier. I tried the original Prolon program. I feel incredible whenever I do it. I personally
Can't wait to try this new and improved version. And if you've never tried them before, you're in for a treat, because the old one was great. I can't even imagine how good this new Prolon 5-day program is going to be. And for a limited time, Prolon is offering Success Story listeners, you guys, 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day programs. Just go to prolonlife.com/Clary to get your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/Clary. What I like about your content is you're saying, like, listen, you don't have to be doctor, you don't have to be a lawyer, you don't have to be rapper, go play ball, go play pro. You can have an above average life and financially get to wherever you want to go in like a pretty safe way. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean you have to be a billionaire. Entrepreneurship doesn't mean you have to fail 1,000 times either. So let's figure out how to build a business. There's seasons to that business. Let's be smart about the money we use. And then anybody can kind of live like an above average lifestyle and escape the matrix, escape the 9 to 5. And I'm a big fan of that idea. I think that like a lot of entrepreneurs listen to the show, and I talk to them this in person, and I think that the version of entrepreneurship where you quit your job and try and make it work in 3 months before you run out of money, like that's what people think entrepreneurship is, but it's not. And you actually are giving them like a safer option to entrepreneurship. Be strategic about it.
And don't feel bad about working a 9 to 5. Don't think that it's bad to work a 9 to 5. I need you to, I always encourage people to understand the work ethic that gets developed is more important than the education. You can learn everything. You can know everybody, but if you lack work ethic, then you don't become great. And so when you look at it and go, I'm able to do something that I don't like for the greater good of myself. That's self-discipline. To be able to still show up 100%. Don't go and say, I don't want to work a job. I'm not good with working for nobody. Okay, but if you're in a situation where you have to discipline yourself to know, hey, I may not like this, but I'm going to show up 100%. I'm going to give my all. I still will be the best employee. Why? Because that'll help me be the best boss and business partner. Because I know no matter, there isn't everything. I don't like everything about my business. I don't like reviewing books and going over all the charts and numbers, but I show up my best and I give my best. Even when I had to work a 9 to 5, that transferred over. I'm going to always show up as my best. Those are things that will help entrepreneurs become successful. It's going, hey, even if he goes, you know what? You don't look at, you're not even to be the best employee. Well, how do I be the best employee? Sometimes if working and it doesn't help, this job doesn't help me get by. People are working jobs and they're barely getting by. And it goes, hey, you're still not being a smart employee, because you don't have to be an employee of this operation that does not help you get by financially. You can be an employee of a situation that does. Go find a better job. Because in business, you're going to have to find better opportunities and develop better products and price points to make more money if your revenue does not equate to what you need to be profitable.
Yeah, so get a better job. If you want to be ambitious, regardless what you do.
Yes, that it transfers over. Yeah. And so often it goes, well, the safest way, I'll tell an entrepreneur, up your price. You want to make more money, you don't have to service more people, up your price. Simple. Go up 20%, 25% and see what happens. If that doesn't work, then bring it down to 15%. But you just up your price, you'll generally make more income. With an entrepreneur, with a person who works a job, it says, hey, well, have you found an opportunity to go and make more money at a different job? Not I'm taking you out of your 9 to 5, go and develop. No, figure out how to be a better employee and navigate this space because you need it. And be the best employee there and work on self-discipline to where when you walk away from the job or you start to develop your own business, when you're tired, when you don't want to do it, you still have to do it. You now have that discipline. People think that, hey, well, I don't want to work for nobody. I'm not good at listing, taking orders. You will not be good at being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are best. The best entrepreneurs have the best relationships. They figure out how to manage relationships on the good side and the bad side, how to be in a relationship and give everybody wins. It's never one-sided. Most entrepreneurs, great relationships with their significant others, family, and they have a good group of friends.
What was the biggest, and by the way, I think that there's a lot of, we were talking about this before we press record, and I was complaining about like hiring talent because everybody's so entitled and nobody wants to work for somebody. They'll want to work for themselves. But there's so many lessons. Even if
you don't love the company that you work for, there's so many lessons that I learned by working for somebody that allows me to be successful today. And I'm sure you too. Like if you don't just jump into entrepreneurship with no life skills, no business skills at all. Like it's actually, you're going to increase the chance of you being successful if you figure shit out somewhere else. Now that means that you don't just show up and clock out. It means that you show up and learn wherever you're working.
That's super important. And when finding good help, like it's hard to find good help because everybody thinks that they can just build a business these days, and it's possible, but they don't realize that most businesses start off in somebody else's infrastructure. If you're really going to be good, you have to operate in somebody else's infrastructure. No business is successful on its own. You think about it. If you go back to Amazon and says Amazon is a $1 billion business, it operated in somebody else's infrastructure. When it came to saying, okay, well, you know what? Look at how it's set up, and we only deal with books. Well, books was kind of regular. You have Barnes and Nobles and all these other things, and they started learning, and then they started after dealing with how the booking, how people buy books. They didn't just naturally change it. They were servicing people, and it was trying to create its own opportunity. So then you're looking at it was doing things how eBay did things and other things, and that was in control of the market at that time. And as they started getting market control, they started to shift things. But then at one point they had to even, now they have their own delivery. But at one point they had to do delivery things based off of UPS, FedEx, and US, who controlled the way that things were delivered. Now they're able to come in and restructure how things are delivered. But thanks to companies like Uber coming out and delivering, and creating that technology, now they can go, oh, we can pivot and use this method. So things grow. But if Amazon wouldn't have started as a bookstore, it wouldn't have been able to grow and morph into what it is today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the ability to take the lessons and learn and figure out, like, listen, if you're going to play the entrepreneurship game, to be successful, you got to play in someone else's arena to a point. You can't just, no one's fucking self-made. And no one's self-made. I hate that term because, like, what your customers, they don't make you? Like, what, your mentor, you're telling me your wife, when she puts up with your shit, like working like 10-hour days, bro, trust me, if you are with the wrong person, you aren't building anything. Yes. So no, this is such a good lesson.
I tell people I'm teammate. I'm never self-made. You know who's self-made? Only people who are self-made are people who made it, right? One of the funny parts is that I've never heard anybody say they're self-made who's unsuccessful, right? But you'll hear people say they're self-made, and then they'll thank other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I did this for myself. It's an internal thing, but I'm going to rewind that back, right? Is that being self-made, like when I say I'm not teammade, I'm not self-made, I'm teammade, is that I could not be who I am without my team. I couldn't be who I am without my community.
I want to understand a little bit more about like some of these like business building strategies that you teach over. So you talk a lot about credit. Understand, that makes sense. And credit and debt are kind of the same thing. Are they? Yes or no? I just want to make sure that I don't even
But credit and debt, 100%. It's using somebody else's money.
Using someone else's money.
Somebody else's money.
But not giving equity. That's the point. You hold 100% of your business. You do have interest. You got to be strategic about when you're going to use this. But what is the tie-in between credit and then building a recession-proof business?
No, when you build a recession-proof business, everything pays you 3 or 4 ways. I hate shit that goes one way, right? The worst entrepreneur is a 1-to-1. How do you make money? I sell this. What else? That's it. You fucking failed already. You lost. You're not built in. See, if you look, I'll just use credit since we spoke on it, and then I'll go into a business aspect. I look at credit. I having good credit is a security net, and be like, yeah, at least I got it. Okay, cool. That's one thing. If you only have credit and say, well, if I need it for security purposes, or I'm gonna use this to make money in my business, and this is my benefit from it, then you already lost. That's not it's not recession proof. You didn't lose, but it's not recession proof. Recession proof is going, I have a credit card. I have $25,000 here, but I use this in the manner of, let's say I got a gold American Express card. I use it to run advertisements. It gives me 4 points per dollar on paid advertisements. I then get reward points. I get reward points to make money. Now I get reward points that help lower my overhead. That I can use for expenses. So now my reward points I can use for groceries, toiletries, utility bills. So now my overhead at home is lower. I may have another a city card or a different credit card that I use for authorized users, where I help other people build their credit. And I don't use this at all for spending. I simply add you onto my credit card to help you build it. And since I help you build your credit by adding you onto this credit card, you now pay me. Now I generate 6 figures a year off a credit card that I don't use. I don't have debt on. I don't have a payment on. But now I generate 6 figures a year from having good credit because these are the perks and benefits that I have. See, that's 3 different benefits. I'm making money. I'm making money cash flow. I'm using debt and going up. I will pay interest on that, but the reward points and things like that is lowering down my overhead, making my business more profitable. Because at that point, if my personal expenses, a lot of people's personal expenses kill their business. Paying for their rent, paying for their groceries, paying for their toiletries, paying mortgage, cell phone bills, those kill it. That's I'm benefiting off of something 3 or 4 ways every time.
People put so much money into their business, so much energy, into their businesses anyways. Like, why put so much energy into your business and then like not sort of optimize as much as possible? And that's what you're doing. So you do it with credit, and it's like a recession proof mindset.
Do it with all businesses.
Do it with credit. Do it with your business. Even like the thing you're talking about with credit. So not only you're like setting up cards, so you have authorized users that are building their credit, but then you're like making points off that, and then you get points off your main credit they're using for your bit. So I get it. It's like you look at strategy not just from one angle, from like 3 or 4 or 5 different angles every single time.
All the time. Everything needs to pay you 3 or 4 ways. You think about this. I'll look at this and I'll say, hey, I come on your podcast, amazing podcast, and now I get to connect with you. So one benefit is I get to sit and develop a relationship. Another thing is I get introduced to a new audience. Another thing is I get content with you that I can give people the opportunity to clip and go and react to. So I understand clipping. Also, I say, hey, and here we're naturally talking. We're talking about my business. It's also, this is promotion. There's so many different benefits. Now, guess what? Not only the promotional side of people getting here now, I'm also going to retarget my advertisement to your podcast. So the more the platforms and places I get, hey, now my ads are cheaper. I know my ads are cheaper when I have warmer leads who have been exposed to me. So since you've been exposed to me, now guess what? It's going to cost me less to sell you something or educate you or give you an offer. It costs me less. So it's so many different benefits. When people do things, they go, well, why would you? And they don't have the systems put in place. Because they go, oh, that makes perfect sense. If I say, hey, you know what? Everybody comment the word success, or if it was on Instagram, right? I'm gonna go comment the word success, and I'm going to give you a free 7-step guide to recession proof your credit. And people are like, oh, cool. They go download it. But when you get to my website, you're going to have to put your name, phone number, email address in. Now I have your contact, whether you download the ebook or not, and then I'm going to upsell you something else. But even if you don't, and you click and you put success and you go to that website, my pixel's going to track you. And now I'm going to follow you. So everything has so many benefits, but I think that people only do 1 or 2 dimensional because they don't want to think hard.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think that to play devil's advocate, people say, well, you should only focus on one thing so you do it really, really well. But I don't think that just finding different ways to monetize the thing you're already doing is like really spreading your attention too thin. I think it's just smart business. Yeah, maybe it's because people don't think hard enough about what they're building. They don't think strategically. They don't think outside the box. They kind of do the way it's always been done.
And that's why these conversations are needed, though.
Yeah, I agree. Right?
Because majority of the people that you bring on and your guests, they think at a different level.
100%, yeah.
And you get to look in and go, wow, these are the moments that allow me to wake up. And this is the importance of podcasts. This is the importance of channels like this, is because people may not resonate with me personally, but something I may say may trigger and go, wow, you know what? How else can I make money from this? What other opportunity can I do? And I do, and I'm in knitting. Who knows, right?
Yeah,
knitting.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that I'm in knitting, and I'm selling sweaters here in Kansas. But I didn't realize that if I made YouTube videos knitting, that people will actually watch it and I can make money off of it. I didn't realize that if I told people the best techniques for knitting and different patterns that they can use, that they would download and buy an ebook about it.
More money.
Don't realize that there's ways to monetize every industry 3 or 4 ways.
I just want to take a second and thank Cornbread Hemp for supporting today's episode. Now, Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies have been this really nice addition to my wellness toolkit. I don't use them every day, just when I want to unwind after those extra busy weeks, but they're perfect for those moments when you want to take the edge off and just find your balance, really just shut off from work. And what makes them special is how Cornbread Hemp crafts them. They only use the flower of USDA organic hemp plants. That's the best part. For the purest, most potent experience, no fillers, no artificial fluff, just clean, full spectrum goodness in delicious watermelon, berry, and peach flavor. I keep them in my nightstand for those moments when I just need a little extra help relaxing, and I love how transparent they are too. Every batch is third-party lab tested, so you know exactly what you're getting, and they put together a special offer for all Success Story podcast listeners. All listeners can save 30% off their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/success and use code success at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/success, code success for 30% off your first order of these amazing gummies. FreshBooks is supporting today's episode, and if you've ever wondered how successful entrepreneurs stay on top of their finances while growing their business, the answer is FreshBooks. The numbers don't lie. Over 30 million people have chosen FreshBooks, processing more than 60 billion in invoices and saving an incredible 192 hours every year on accounting tasks. Think about it. That's nearly 8 full days you could get back to focus on what really matters: growing your business. FreshBooks is more than just accounting software. It's your all-in-one financial command center. Create professional estimates, track time, automatically bill clients, and capture expenses on the go. Plus, it integrates seamlessly with over 100 business tools you already use, all backed by award-winning customer service. If you're ready to stop drowning in receipts and you're ready to stop chasing down payments, here's what I want you to do. Head over to freshbooks.com to start your 30-day free trial, no credit card required. And for all you Success Story listeners out there, I've got something special. Get an exclusive 60% off for 6 months when you visit freshbooks.com/pricing-offer. Transform your business with FreshBooks today. That's freshbooks.com/pricing-offer for 60% off. I'm a big believer that entrepreneurship actually isn't as hard as people make it out to be if you know how to stay in the game long enough. I mean, from your first businesses that were kind of just like side hustles that ended up not working out to where you're at now, to fumbling with Ross and then not giving up, not just taking the L and like rolling with it. Like, you just never give up. Yeah. It's literally it. Like, you just never give up. Like there's like what doesn't exist for you.
That's the one common denominator. That's the one thing. It's the one thing in life that I've learned is that hard times are inevitable. But quitting is a choice. How you deal with it is a choice. Shit gonna pop up every day. People gonna throw rocks at you every day. There's gonna be obstacles in the road every day. When you wake up, just understand that when you wake up in the morning, be thankful that you had the opportunity to go fight the obstacles. Then I get to go navigate it. I'm not afraid to face adversity. I'm excited that I get the opportunity, and I'm thankful that I get the opportunity to. Because somebody doesn't. Somebody wanted to be able to fight to learn taxes, to have to fight and learn home ownership, have to fight on learning how to employ people, and they never got the opportunity to. They never got the opportunity to train people, hire and fire people. They never got the opportunity to do it.
Everything's a blessing.
So for me to wake up every single day that I wake up and get the opportunity to go out here and fight a battle, I won when I bought my first home. $250,000. I was born homeless. I already won. So by the time I'm here now where I'm at, the things that I experienced, I'm buying private jets, Rolls Royces, I'll be a fool to complain about a hard time or difficulty. I'm excited about it. This shit get me going every day. Like,
Yeah.
what I got to do? What else I got to figure out? How can I be innovative? What can change to be better?
Have you ever thought about you know, when you were young coming up and you thought about like what your dream day would be? You mentioned like you even had your own perfect day laid out. Have you ever thought about how much that has changed? And the reason I say that is because it's super important for entrepreneurs that are successful, super ambitious people, not to move the goalposts every single time they win.
You know, one of my, I tell people all the time, fuck generational wealth. I said, who gives a shit? I said, don't ask me questions about generational wealth. Fuck generational wealth. I said, that's a mechanism to help you comfort with your lack thereof. and to kill your micro accomplishments. Say micro accomplishments. You don't have $100,000 in savings. You don't generate $100,000. You live paycheck to paycheck. Why the fuck are you planning for generational wealth when you got to get a first down? Don't allow people to move your goalposts. Well, it's important. Fuck out of here. It's not. It's not important. It doesn't matter. Buying a home for the first time matters. Being in a position where you can actually take your family on a vacation matters. Creating an environment where you can love your children, that matters. Fuck generational wealth. I don't want to leave my kids something when I haven't figured out how to love them properly first. I'm okay with raising children in an environment where I can love them and raise them properly, and I may not be able to leave them $100 million, but I left them better off than what the fuck I found this. I improved it. And if we don't do that, when you buy your first home and you're looking at generational wealth, you need to have 10 houses in a trust, you need to own apartment complexes, you feel unaccomplished. And when you get those micro accomplishments, that keeps you going. Those are the things that keep you going. This is from somebody who became successful. I live in a $5 million house I don't give a fuck about. I give a fuck about my $250,000 house that I bought. That was my first accomplishment that allowed me to know that I can have something that belongs to me. My daughter came home in a house that had her last name on it. I was born homeless. This matters to me. This initiated me to work harder because I never wanted to lose it. I would not be able to afford a $5 million home if I did not buy this house and figure out and get scared to shit that, man, I got approved. We have a 30-year mortgage. I'm used to 1-year leases. Yeah. Now I have to work my ass off so I never lose it. I need to be secure enough and get into a position where I have this house for 30 years. That work ethic took me to where I'm at now. That's what takes me there. I bought a mansion on a country club. I didn't buy a mansion on a country club to say I have a mansion on a country club. I wanted a Rolls Royce. My wife says, how can you buy a $300,000 car and live in a $250,000 house? I say, you're fucking right. But the thing is, don't move my goalposts. I'm not focused on building generational wealth when I haven't built a generational wealth of knowledge and experiences. I'm not trained for it yet, but I want to accomplish and be gratitude where I'm at. Set the goal line out, the goalpost 10 yards out. Then you can move it. But don't allow people to say, this is what generational wealth. And now you're looking way over here and you forgot that, wait a minute. I forgot to put my children in activities that help them grow. I forgot to put my children in the environment. I don't have to live in $1 million neighborhood, but let me get the hell out of this environment where we're scared going to the gas station. I can move to this area where it's more secure and I'm safer. The crime rate is lower. The education is it's better.
Yeah.
I won, and then celebrate it.
No one celebrates that shit. That's the issue, though. People are just trying to get the $100 million exit, and then forget about celebrating the small wins. On the way to the $100 million exit, they forget about their kids, they forget about their wife, they forget about everything,
and they lose themselves, and you don't realize it because somebody else put that goalpost out there. Yeah. And you cannot tell me that you didn't wake up and think about, man, I'm trying to figure out how to pay my bills. I'm trying to figure out how this. But when you go out into society and you go out into public and talk, they say, yo, what you working on? And you got this big elaborate scheme. And it's like, well, why don't you have an elaborate scheme to figure out the small things that you're dealing with and facing right now? Right now, this time and place, you have issues and things that you need to overcome, that you need to be putting all of your elaborate thinking and your high level thinking, your neurons into right now. But it doesn't happen.
What do you think the biggest misconception about wealth and entrepreneurship, successful entrepreneurship, is?
That it's easy and that it's fun and that you stay motivated. And in order to be successful, you got to stay motivated. It's a fucking lie. Nobody stays motivated. The reality of it is people don't even like the shit. It's fun at first. After a while, do what's a passion. You should really enjoy what you do. And it goes, no, I enjoyed what I did. But once you start doing it at a high level, you're just great at what you do. You figured out how to do it. After 10 years, the enjoyment is not the same. It's repetitive now. It's repetitive. You cannot tell me, yeah, look at LeBron. He just loves basketball. He probably loves basketball, but his daily activities are repetitive for training, eating, muscle recovery, the things that he has to do, studying, watching film. It's not enjoyable as it was as that high school kid playing.
100%. So I'll ask you then, how do you stay in the game when the motivation dries out, when the motivation is all over?
Discipline. When motivation isn't present, discipline shows up. Discipline carries you through everything. It's more important than being motivated. It's more important than being inspired. Discipline is the most important factor you can ever have in your life, because it does not matter if you want to do it, if you're excited to do it or not. Your discipline will make you do it.
Out of everything you've learned in your career, in your life, what would be one lesson that you learned that was a really hard lesson that you would never wish that lesson on anyone else because it was so difficult, but it was useful to you?
18 to 25, stole over $100,000 worth of iPhones from Sprint. It cost me 2 to 3 years of going to court. One, being on the run, well, not being on the run, but not knowing what was going to happen, because I didn't get caught for a while. It didn't come up about. And then going to court for 2 years, realizing that how quick your freedom can be taken from you. And then how much time can be taken from you. Because things that you think about, things that you see, you don't really consider time. Yeah. Until you realize and you go in and say, okay, yeah, with your charges, you have to do a minimum of 3 years up to a maximum of 11. 3 years? And throughout that time, I lost everything. I started working at a warehouse, and it was a lesson of doing anything for money. It was after my best friend had died, and I was just, you know what, get rich by any means necessary. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity that I did not go to prison. But I'm thankful for those hard years.
Can I ask how you got out of going to prison?
First offenders.
Yeah.
So in Georgia, when they allow you to do a first offenders, where it's your first time getting in trouble, they'll give you and grant you probation. And the first DA wouldn't. They were upset. They was looking and trying to find things about me. It was tough, right? And so we went to court for 2 years. Can I make you up? Sometimes it's God. I went to the point where I fired my attorney. I didn't like him. I didn't like how he was talking. Fired him. My friend's wife was an attorney, and she went and represented me for free. And she was going to go in there and see. And she showed up. She's a black woman. I've been fighting as DAs, all white. White woman, white man. Boom, white judge. We walk in on the day that she decides to represent me. The DA switched. All black women. Every other attorney in the courtroom that day was white men. The DA was all black women, but everybody else's representation of legal counsel were white men. And you could feel the tension of like how they was like going, and it was going back and forth. It was tough. And the only person who made them comfortable and didn't have a real issue was another black woman. She said, okay, they said, listen, they'll give you first offenders. You pay $60,000 in restitution. How many years you need to pay it? They said they'll give you 15 years probation just to pay the restitution. Once you finish paying the restitution, after 3 years, 2 years, it can go away and it'll never show like you was arrested. First offenders, you get a walk-free card. I said, I'll take it. I don't know. God is sometimes on your side. But I went through all of that time fighting that, working at a warehouse. The whole 2 years of me fighting that case, I worked at a warehouse. Walked out of court that day, tired, went home, went to sleep, woke up late for work, went to work and got fired. Started my entrepreneurship journey.
That was then.
That's when I started. I already knew credit and things like that. I had no choice but to all the way take it. So when I look back and I say, that was one of the roughest times of my life, but one of the most thankful times I've ever had. To just go, you know what? This is a lesson that I wouldn't wish anybody to learn. But I don't regret it. and I'm thankful for it. But if people could avoid making financial mistakes and committing crimes and never having to learn the legal system, I'd much rather you go that way and figure out that there's better ways to make money.
Amen. I mean, that's a wild story. It's an absolutely wild story.
Yeah.
What excites you about what you're working on now? Like, what do you want people to know about your work? If they want to connect with you, like, I know you do a lot. You speak, you teach, you help entrepreneurs, you help people with like finance, credit. Like, what's the one thing that if you want to go into your universe and sort of consume your content?
My biggest thing now is, honestly, I'm on a goal to help 100 people become millionaires. I've helped over 60 people become millionaires and generate $1 million in business. I'm a few thousand people be able to quit their job. Multiple thousands make six figures and multiple six figures. The goal is to help over 100 people create multi-million-dollar businesses. That's my biggest passion project that I'm working on. And that's the reason why I do what I do. So now, like, I'm doing Credit to Cash Live, where I teach people how to turn credit to cash flow, how to use credit to create businesses properly, how you have to clean your credit, what that needs to look like. And that's my main focus right now. Throughout the rest of this year is really just training people on how to properly clean and use your credit report, and what credit cards to use, how to not go into debt, how to be profitable, and how to set up a business. It's a 3-step thing. It's Recession Proof. Is that understanding credit, understanding how to deploy it or deploying capital, but how to essentially set up a business that makes sense and what operations in your business you need to have. So that's my...
And also figure out if a business is working before you take on the credit. But when it is, you throw fuel on that fire.
Exactly.
I love it, dude. Also, socials and website, where can people connect with you?
You can find me on all social medias at him500.
Why him 500?
I'm him, and the way that I think is Fortune 500.
Oh, I like
Always got the 500. So
that's dope.
him 500 on all social medias. If you want to tap in and do some trainings with me, you can go to creditToCashLive.com, and I do free trainings and help people be able to grow their business and give them the basics and fundamentals that they need.
Last question I'd like to ask. You've given over a lot of different like ideas and mindset topics that have worked for you, but if you could think of just one, like the most important one, and the way that I say it is most important one, and you can only pass one on to your kids. That's why you have to pick one. What would it be, and why is it so important?
My most important one, if I could pass on to my kids, and just people in general, is conflict resolution. We only control ourselves. It's the one thing I tell my girls, my daughters. I don't care what other people do to you. I don't care what other people say to you. I don't care how other people treat you. I only care how you react. I only care how you treat and respond, because you have control over you. I don't have control over what you say to me, but I have a control over how I perceive it, how I receive it, and how I respond to it. That's the one thing in this world that, if anything that I will leave people with, is just realize that you have control over you. If anything goes good in your life, it's because of you. And if anything goes bad in your life, it's because of you. And the only person that can change it or make adaptations and make changes to it, it's going to be you. And so the only thing you can control in this world is you. And that's one of the biggest things that I realized in my life, is that I don't have control over nobody else but me.